Ultimately, my challenge was being able to organise myself and prioritise.
In my work, my mind's really active and it's being pushed to problem solve constantly.
I didn't attempt to continue a really busy schedule. Yoga was my program.
To allow me to be able to deal with anxiety rather than drinking beer or having a glass of wine.
Worked very hard for 10 years and had 2 businesses, just for the sake of sort of working hard.
I find it really challenging to have balance in what I eat, in how I spend my time, in what I think about, so I'm really sort of endeavouring to be more balanced.
I have a bunch of different injuries. I got knocked off my bike and that shattered both elbows, so I can't straighten my right arm. I also have had a total knee reconstruction, so that's still got mobility restrictions and it's still kind of weak.
When my friends and my family heard about what I was doing,
Nah, there's no way. You're going to die.
they didn't think that I would be able to do it necessarily.
I never felt like I had to defend myself for why I was doing it, because I was just doing it purely to see if I could.
And what I quite like a challenge. It immediately got me sort of revved up, a bit more purpose in life.
I put a lot of pressure on myself at the beginning of the challenge especially, and the first 2 weeks I was very disciplined and very focused.
Setting myself up in such a way where I'm like, oh, I've got to go to class tomorrow, I don't want to. As soon as I stopped doing that, it was so much easier.
I just tried to take it as an hour and a half every day. Not much thought about day 10 or wherever I am.
I definitely paid a lot more attention to my nutrition than I normally would, because I had to.
There was definitely no drinking alcohol.
And sometimes I feel like I'm, on The Biggest Loser or one of the, binge eating extravaganza documentary shows. And but for the 30 days I didn't really have that, and that felt really good.
Just kept it clean, vegetables, fruit.
By week 2, I was taking 2 litres of water into the class and I couldn't help but drink the whole thing.
I actually found at one stage I thought I might have been drinking too much water because I was feeling a little bit sort of bloated before going into class.
I noticed changes in my body from the second day. It just felt so much lighter, and I was feeling parts of my body that I didn't even realise that were part of my body.
So coming into Bikram, I couldn't sit Japanese style. I really noticed in 30-day challenge, because you're backing it up day after day, within 2 weeks I could do fixed firm to some degree, which for me was huge.
Already getting that fit and getting that inspired, that's just mad. I was loving that.
The smoothness of my skin just from head to toe was amazing.
I was still a real bloke, obviously, so really inflexible, generally speaking, but relatively speaking, my flexibility went through the roof.
I had been undecided in so many things that were going on at that particular point. I went home and basically bawled my eyes out.
All my studies were coming to a head, assignments and presentations, and I hadn't looked into a book.
All of this weight had just sort of disappeared. It was probably like a moment that I'd been waiting for going into the challenge.
For me, there's been a repression of anger. It comes up even stronger,
Every day is so different, depending on what day you've had and what mindset you're in. Even during the classes when I was feeling shit, I'm like, yes, but this is good.
After 20 odd days of this, all of my injuries really came to light. That really gave me a good indication of my sort of limitations, I suppose.
In the past, so often I've berated myself for not doing particular poses, and during the challenge this time I realised that I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was doing exactly what I should be doing and putting as much energy into it as I could.
It all sort of comes back to the yoga being about you and not everyone else.
If your expectations are of a younger class or an Ashtanga class, then I think you'll be disappointed, because that's really not what it's about.
I loved hearing what Susan would often have to say. This yoga, while it is hatha and it's physical, it's also Raja yoga, the mental side of yoga. Every time she'd say that, I was like, yes, it's so much more mental than it is physical.
I started focusing more exactly on what they were saying rather than forging ahead, which is so easy to do.
Might ask you to pull hard as hell or pull as hard as you can.
A tremendous stretching pain sensation all over underneath your legs, deep inside out bones and skin from your coccyx to the heels.
If you take that literally and pull as hard as you can, you'll just injure yourself. At the end of the day, you're just trying to listen to your own body.
The 3-week mark, starting to get this pain in my neck, I felt really guilty not being able to do the poses completely, but then also really sad for myself that I was pushing myself so extremely.
Michael had sort of noticed me coming in quite a few times during that week. He's like, Carla, what are you doing here? You've been here so many times. And I'm like, oh, I've got to do all of my doubles. And he's like, how many are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing 8 in 4 days. And he's like...
From the beginning, I didn't want to do a double class. I thought it would be counterproductive and too extreme and too intense. So just the once a day, every was healthy.
I try to take the whole finishing, congratulate myself, you're a hero out of the equation, and just thinking, well, this is working really well for my life, my happiness, my health. So I've kept practicing.
There was a huge sense of relief, like no more. But I also was sort of hungry for more at the same time.
Know that it's going to be incredibly hard and challenging, and for that reason go at your own pace.
Have no expectation of yourself or of the class.
Don't get too caught up in my own success or my own failure.
Drinking lots and lots of water. You can never drink enough water.
Going into the class feeling really positive and energetic, you know you're going to have a good class, and you're going to really grab that momentum and really use it.
The greatest challenges I face in my life would be remembering not to compare myself to other people.
My life's challenge is going to be my mind.